Well, today's our final day with the Song of Solomon, and I want to close with the two verses that were at the heart of my sermon this past Sunday, chapter 8, verses 6 and 7. Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm, for love is strong as death, passion fierce as the grave. Its flashes are flashes of fire, a raging flame. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it. If one offered for love all the wealth of his house, it would be utterly scorned. Well, as I shared on Sunday, not to replicate the entire sermon, part of what to me is so valuable about these verses is that core idea that love is as strong as, and I would say as a Christian, love is stronger than death. We know in these days leading up to Christmas, and especially between Thanksgiving and Christmas, it can be a very difficult time for people who are experiencing these holidays for the first time without a husband or a wife, a child, a family member, someone who has been a key part of one's life. And it is, I think, a source of hope for us as Christians that we look to Jesus, who God raised from the dead, that we have the hope of resurrection, of the hope of heaven, the belief that love is not only as strong as death, but that love is stronger, and that the people we love and the people who have loved us remain with us in our hearts, in our minds, in our memories, as long as we live, and as long as we remember them, and as long as we call to mind experiences and stories that stay with us. You know, I often say that when I do a memorial service or a committal, I refer to the lovely little movie Simon Birch. And in that movie, the main character loses someone very close to him to death. And later he's talking with his best friend about what it's like to lose someone we love. And he says, when someone you love dies, you don't lose them all at once. You lose them in pieces over time. And I think that's profoundly true. And yet every time we remember that person, because there's things that remind us of them, they stay with us. I often tell people the story of how one time when my family was in Maine and we were standing in line for ice cream, and it was near sunset, and a V formation of Canada geese went overhead, and my mother looked up and said, "Wow, they must be exhausted." And I looked at my mom and I said, "How would you know?" And my mother said, without skipping a beat, "By the way they're honking." And we all cracked up and laughed. But as a result, every time I see Canada geese fly overhead, it reminds me of my mother and of that moment of laughter and joy. I pray, especially if you may be grieving in these days, that there will be moments like that that come to mind for you, that help you to appreciate the love that has enriched your life, and that you will know that love is stronger even than death.